Adam Kinzinger, Maura Gillespie. It's good to see you guys. Maura, if that's the start of the general election, does this confirm, is this everyone's fears confirmed that this general election is going to be as absolutely rough as humanly possible? Is there any way to avoid it?
I don't see how we could avoid it, given that Donald Trump will continue to use those childish attacks and mocking Joe Biden. I mean, I don't disagree with the fact that there were times where Joe Biden was yelling at us to agree with him on how great the economy is. I don't think that's really how you win over voters, is by yelling at them to agree with you. But the childish antics and the back and forth, to most of the American people, who, again, you know, we've seen some of those polls where 70% of the people don't want this rematch. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to have to watch this back and forth, and it's not really inspiring anyone to want to jump on either side or go out and vote, which is a real problem for us.
Jonah, you have Biden coming out swinging at, you know, kind of this general election kickoff campaign event, I'm going to call it. No longer calling him my predecessor, as we saw in the State of the Union, now naming and blaming when speaking to voters. You have that kind of outreach. And then you also have this I want to play for you from Donald Trump in terms of outreach to voters. Let me play this.
To all Americans, whether you are a Republican, an independent, or a disillusioned Democrat, of which there are many, all you had to do is watch that horrible State of the Union. That was the worst president in history, making the worst State of the Union speech in history.
What stuck out to me there, Jonah, is the call out to disillusioned Democrats and the applause afterward. To me, it felt like kind of like the first direct appeal to the middle this cycle. What did you think of all that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a weird irony here, though, is that a big chunk of the existing Trump coalition, the one that turned out in primaries, were actually, particularly in southern states, former Democrats, right? He's won over that part of the FDR coalition that was the sort of working class whites, you know, the sort of Dixiecratish whites. They're already part of the Trump coalition. And so some of the people that he's talking to aren't the sort of moderates, the middle, all that kind of stuff. They're
Right.
sort of the radicalized, very online people that have been moving over anyway. I think this is all weird strategy at the end of the day. Every pollster you talk to who's honest about this stuff says that this is going to boil down to what they increasingly call the double haters, people who dislike both of them. And while Biden is not reassuring for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't like him for legitimate reasons, when you compare Trump's approach, which is to make fun of Biden's stuttering and to be, you know, childhood stuttering, and to be a jerk about it, that feels to me like it pushes more double haters away than it attracts. And I'm not sure it's going to be a winning strategy.
Jonah, could there be a more perfect label for like a statement of the politics of now, is like the people who decide are the double haters? Like, that is just such a statement of the here and now, of just kind of everyone hates everything, and it's the double haters who are going to decide this thing. I mean, I think it's a perfect encapsulation of sadly why we ended up here.
It's the haters who go to 11 who run our politics now. It's very weird. And I kind of feel like I want to get a double H brand from some cattle ranch to sort of say where I come down on a lot of this too. But yeah, it's a weird moment. No one wants this election, and it's going to be a very, 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 very long summer.
It should, and you are excited about it, Jonah. I can hear it and see it. I can hear it in your voice and see it in your face. Maura, Biden's campaign released its first ad of kind of the big post-State of the Union campaign blitz, if you will, confronting the concerns about his age. Let me play this for everybody.
Look, I'm not a young guy. That's no secret. But here's the deal. I understand how to get things done for the American people. I led the country through the COVID crisis.
Can we do one more take?
Look, I'm very young, energetic, and handsome. What the hell am I doing this for?
The Trump campaign jumped on that immediately and turning it and putting out their own digital ad highlighting his age as well. Are concerns over President Biden's age going to be settled kind of in ad wars, do you think?
No, but I do think it's smart of the Biden campaign to get ahead of it. I kind of think they should have done it a little sooner, but I do think it's a smart way of doing it, making it more appealing, lighthearted, but also, you know, not being blind to it, right? I mean, and they didn't use the opportunity then they could have to say, my opponent's also not too far behind me. They didn't do that, which I think was a smart move, to just focus on what Biden is doing or what Biden has done or what he wants to do. But I do think that we're going to continue to hear the age question again as both men stumble through speeches. Again, they're 77, 78, 80 years old, and they're talking in front of thousands of people. These are high pressure situations, and their ability to get through it is
the longer the general election, the more exhausting it is for everyone in the everyone or not.
For everyone.
Jonah, Biden drawing this red line with Israel's war against Hamas. I want to get your take on this. Let me play this from the interview from this weekend first for everyone. Then I'll ask you about it afterward.
It is a red line, but I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical. So there's no red line. I'm going to cut off all weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them. They don't have. But there's red lines that if he crosses, you cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead as a consequence of going after.
Jonah, my immediate thought was he must remember how badly it went when Obama drew a red line in Syria, different circumstances, but still, he was VP then. I mean, it was a horrible low point for them then, created real problems in both policy and politics.
Yeah, this is one of these very small examples that actually can lead to bigger problems of the sort of cognitive age issue, is that if you don't have that immediate recall that like Bill Clinton had in terms of his incredibly good retail politics skills, you don't connect those dots and you just sort of go with the little bombs that reporters put in interviews that you don't pick up on and you run with. And I think that's sort of a problem. He had a similar problem when he used the word illegal in the State of the Union address because he forgot the connections that has with members of his base. His larger problem is I think that he thinks, and we saw this in the State of the Union, he thinks his political problems can be summed up with his problems with the most passionate parts of his base. And I just don't think that's true. You look at John Fetterman, who's more left-wing on a lot of economic issues than Joe Biden. He's been throwing haymakers at the sort of pro-Palestinian left, and he's way more popular than Joe Biden is, according to polls. I think that Biden is being told by people in his cocoon that all of his problems will be solved if he could just convince all of the people on this very hardcore left-wing base of his to like him again. And I don't think that's in the cards, and I don't think that those are the people he needs.
It's really good to have you guys here on a Monday. Thanks for running through it with me. Sarah?
All right, we have new details this morning concerning the death of billionaire